I show it is now approximately 4 o'clock on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. I'd like to bring the Board of Public Works and Utilities meeting to order. Alder Benash.
Here.
Alder Wolf is here also. Alder Jurassic.
Present.
And Jared Holter.
Here.
And Sabrina Steger.
Here.
Thank you. Has anyone heard from the mayor?
I did. She she had a commitment, so I would say she's excused. She did contact me.
So note for the record for the transcriptionist purposes that note that that Mayor Kim Smith is excused absent. Also in the room, I show Rick Niemeyer, our city administrator, Karen Marquardt in finance, Brian, Jack of all trades, Omni, our assistant fire chief, Jeremy Southworth, and also last but not least, our city engineer, Kevin Schubert. I don't forget your last name now. Anyone online, Jared?
We do not have anyone online.
Thank you. Number 2, consideration and action on minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion that we consider the motions from last meeting.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder Larry, second by Alder Jim to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item number 3, public input limited to 3 minutes per individual. If there is anyone in the audience or online who would like to give public input, they may do so at this time. You have 3 minutes. Please state your first and last name and your home address. So first call for public input. Second call for public input. Third and final call. I will close public input and move on to the printed agenda. Consideration and possible action on the following items under Public Works. Item number 4, Highway Safety Improvement Program, HSIP, application for 12th Avenue South and Oak Forest Drive intersection. Jared?
Thank you. In your packet tonight, there is a highway safety improvement program application. Materials, HISSIP is what it goes by. With that, we are looking at the intersection of 12th Avenue and Oak Forest Drive. This has kind of been an intersection that we've had on our radar, kind of watching it for a number of years. Do receive complaints about it, not often, but sporadically. We get the monthly accident crash data from the police department, and I noticed a couple of accidents at the intersection over the course of a couple of months. So I actually contacted the Wisconsin DOT traffic safety engineer and had him look up the information for the HISSIP program as far as the crash data and how it would go into the formulas that they use for the funding. He did get back to me and sent me the information that's in the packet tonight. So on page 9 of your packet, there is a crash diagram, and you can see that there's a number of angle crashes. So people are pulling out, not seeing people, or just pulling out thinking they can make it and then they aren't making it. So that is what's driving the scoring, and that's over a 5-year period. So then if you go to page 6, you can see that there's a formula that they use, a spreadsheet with a formula. The PEF, or project evaluation factor, must be at least above 0.9. So at 0.9, basically we can perform up to $1 million safety project at the intersection. And the construction costs would be at 90% federal, state money, and 10% city. We would be putting in the middle of August, sending this in for the application. And then if it was to go through the process of getting approved in the next, I think he said it'd take 3 months to get reviewed, it would be a 2029 construction project, because it would have to be designed to state specifications, put through their bidding process, and then we would also need some right-of-way acquisition on the corners if we were going to put in a roundabout. So I think it's a worthy project that we could receive funding for, but we just want to make sure before we put the application in, there will be some financial commitments for the city. This is the same program we installed the roundabout at East Avenue and Riders Club. So fortunate that we are able to get the program. Not fortunate we have the accident history to qualify for it, but I think it's a good program if we should apply. So open up for questions.
Let's get a motion on the floor first.
I'll make a motion that we consider the, what's it called? Exit for, no. Okay. Highway Safety Improvement Program for 12th Avenue South and Oak Forest Drive intersection.
I'll second that.
So motion by Alder Larry, second by Alder Jim for item 4. And just as a follow-up quick, Larry, I'm assuming that I didn't hear you clearly. You are making a motion to approve for staff to go ahead and apply for that.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Discussion. Jim?
Since there are a number of businesses in the surrounding area, does that have any effect on how we approach this? Do we need to contact the businesses and get their input, or that doesn't really matter?
So if we apply for this grant and just as a clarification too, we will get a state municipal agreement that will come back. So we will have to actually take that through Board of Public Works and approve that to actually accept the grant. But we would start a design process, and then with that process, we'd have a public information meeting with all the local businesses, residents in the area. Just preliminarily looking at this, we're hoping the impacts will be fairly small. We're not, until we get into the actual design, we don't have anything in concrete, but hopefully no parking stalls. The signs will be able to stay. There is some green space around the intersection. I think we could make it fit in. So that will be our goal with the project, but we did not plan on, until we get into design work, contacting the adjacent property owners.
Jared, you and I spoke a little bit about this last week. I didn't ask you at that time. Do we have I very much appreciate the possibility of a 90-10 grant, as always, especially, and I think that the city's been pretty consistent that we don't apply for something to apply for something. Obviously, there is a need. Do you have a really rough guesstimate of what maybe our 10% could be? Because I understand there's
Yep.
construction, there's all the pre-work also.
Yep. So what our plan would be is to go through the design. I would, and if we apply and actually get a favorable response, we'd try and, because we don't have this in the capital improvements budget for the design, so we may actually add this in as a project, depending on what the response we get. I would envision that the city would fund the design themselves, because typically we have administered it that way due to the stipulations and the regulations that come with accepting the grant money for the design. And the design is typically 8 to 10% of the construction cost. And right now we are, at a $800,000 estimate. So we're going to have a project that's going to be probably between 80 and 100,000 just to, at a minimum, just to design it. It could even be a little higher. It could be higher than that. And then depending on what right-of-way impacts we have, we could have another 25,000 for a right-of-way negotiator and another 25 to 50,000 on right-of-way impacts, depending on what happens. So we'll probably have almost 200,000 into the design and right-of-way, and then 10% of the construction cost. So if the construction cost is 800,000, it'll probably be another 10% for the construction engineer that will work with the state on the construction aspects of the project. So if you're at 900,000 total, it'd be 10%, so it'd be 90,000. So if you got done at the end of the day, rough numbers, it would be, right now, I'd say 800,000 in grant money and 300,000 in city funds to complete the project.
I'm not going to hold you to that. I was just, when,
Yep.
when we go forward and looking to approve something,
Yep.
for me, it's just always good to
We-
know, like, what number are we looking to have to?
Yep, the city will have to expend resources to get the project completed, but
Right.
it will be you know, I think, I know I have talked to the Harley Davidson owner, been over there with a couple different, his, construction project and talking to him and he had some concerns just with his placement of trees and things like that, the intersection, and I think he would, agree that just with all his traffic that comes in at certain times with his events, that they have troubles in the intersection.
Okay, thank you for that. And lastly, at which year would you anticipate starting to have to put some dollars towards that?
Well, we should start, the design is a 2-year process, so if we're gonna move, if we are going to get the funding, we will have to start the design in 2027 and then go through the design process, and then it will be, you know, they say up to a year for right away, but we'll have to have the design done by 2028 in the first quarter, first half of the year, and then will take 9 months to get the right of way, and then they will construct it. Hopefully, I think it was 2029 if everything works out.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So we do have a motion on the floor.
Larry's got a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Larry.
Thanks. Are they still talking about putting a circle on the end of 12th Street there too, or not?
No, that was on the agenda a few months ago, so that we looked at that, and the crash and accident history did not warrant it. And the single stop sign meets level of service for that intersection. So we're moving forward with the paving project on Double S that will go from Crossing Meadow Drive to just west of 12th Avenue South and continue it with just a single stop sign on the
Hopefully
three-legged.
when Highway 16 clears up, then that'll take away some of the traffic from it.
Yeah, I truly believe, I guess I don't have a factual count out there, but I gotta imagine the traffic's up 30-40% on Double S pretty
Yeah.
conservatively.
Yep, especially at work shift time. It's kind of bad. That's all I have, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Again, motion on the floor is to approve staff to go ahead with the HSIP application for 12th Avenue South and Oak Forest Drive intersection. Hearing and seeing no further questions and or discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Jared, I have a quick question regarding items 5A and B. We're not looking to like go through item by item tonight. That'll be safe for next month.
No,
Do we think this is a half-hour conversation or
I didn't hear you.
do you think this is more like a half-hour conversation or
I think
longer
it's gonna
or?
be 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I was just,
It's up to the board. I mean,
No,
however the board wants to dive in, we can dive in, but
my only
Right.
thought was that if we were doing any diving in any length, I was just going to possibly suggest that we just move 5 down to after number 8, just because a lot of times when we go, we spend, past years, we spend a lot of time with capital improvements. And then we go, oh, there's still some left and we're tired and exhausted. But yeah, that's what I thought was probably going to be more of a, and it's fine, however long number 5.
no, this is a high, whatever the board would like to do, but I consider it a high level discussion tonight.
Okay. So, item 5, thank you for that. Item 5, 2026 to 2030 capital improvements budget, CIB. Item A is 2026 to 2030 CIB, including 2026 CIB project detail. And I'm just going to read into 5B because I think I anticipate maybe we may have some
Yep.
crossover, which,
Yep.
and item 5B is discussion on overall budget figures, goals, and funding levels. So I'll let you. take it away.
I'll start the process here. Just want to start off, thank staff. It's always a large process of compiling the capital improvement budget. A lot of different departments, a lot of different people are involved. It takes a village to get a product done. So I just want to thank all the people that have been involved, whether getting estimates, getting costs, getting things put together. So in your attachment tonight that's in the link that that has the capital improvement budget, there's a memo that I wrote in that link that's in with the information, outlines a proposed schedule, and you know, the board is welcome to change this, alter this, do whatever we'd like to do, but the vision was that this meeting, we would hand out the list, have the list public. That would give the public, that would give staff, that would give elected officials all, 30 days until the next Board of Public Works meeting to go through the list, especially the 2026 projects, because those are the ones that we will be directly relating to what happens with the capital improvement budget. And study those projects, look at those projects in depth, discuss with staff, discuss with the different departments those projects were originated from, and try and get educated before the September meeting. And hopefully then, as the timeline states, in the September meeting and October meeting, we would go through those projects. We would go through the merits of projects, which ones would come out, which ones would stay in. And then I'm proposing to have the public hearing for the capital improvement list, the budget, at the November 4th Board of Public Works meeting. Then would pass on to the Common Council and then would be adopted. So this would give us, this is another month earlier than what we have done in the past few years, which is actually, that was actually a month earlier than what we did probably 20 years ago. So we keep trying to move it further into the middle of the year due to trying to finish projects in the next calendar year. It's getting tougher and tougher to get designs done, get permitting, get projects bid out, and get them done the next calendar year. So we are a month earlier than normal. So it does give us time that if deliberation takes longer or a public hearing or something like that, we do have some time built into the timeline for moving things if we would want to. Just numbers wise, I'll let Sabrina talk a little bit about, strategies and stuff like that too. But our capital improvement proposed list for 2026 has $15,227,415 for the projects in it. And the 5-year list is at 88 million. So that is above what we have typically bonded, typically what we've done. I think staff have done a good job at looking at projects, and especially the 2026 projects. I think there's merit to all the projects that have been included within the budget. With that, we have been looking at financing options and how to look at things, especially when it comes to the utilities, the water, sewer, and storm sewer utilities. I think the next meeting between myself and the finance director will bring forward some scenarios and some ways of looking at our financing of the capital improvements budget, especially on the utility side. So, I know it always gets to be a tough time trying to go through the lists. So, I guess with that, I'm sure Sabrina has a overarching financial crystal ball over there she'd like to convey some ideas on.
Sabrina.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, 15 million, unfortunately, we can't just hit approve and say yes to that. Just a couple of things to keep in mind. We did borrow a little extra in 2025 for the community center. So we refunded the NAN that we had borrowed for the community center. So we ended up adding for GO debt $7,965,000. For 2026, Jared, myself, Kevin have been chatting quite a bit to each other, and then also with Bayard, who does all of our financing, to kind of figure out a plan of how to move forward. We haven't done many utility projects in my time here. That's not because I don't want to, Jared, just so you know. But we haven't had the opportunity to really kind of tackle some of those bigger projects. So we are looking at potentially a mortgage revenue bond or GO debt that would be funded by the utilities. If we did that, we would be looking at possibly, well, for sure, looking at a full water rate case study if we go forward with that. And then just kind of a figure for the general fund of like, how are we going to get these projects done over the next 5 years? Because as Jared mentioned, they all are worthy projects that need to be completed. For just the general fund for 2026, I'd really like to see our number around 3 million or 300 or 3.25. And then taking into consideration the water sewer storm, whether it is the purview of the council to move forward with some of the bigger projects that we'll talk about as we go through the next coming months to also do bonding separate for the utility to work through some of those projects. That would be my recommendation.
And I guess, excuse me, and I just thought of this. I'm just wondering when we get to the next meeting, we start talking more the different funding mechanisms and such. Could there be some type of a handout beforehand that explains more depth, more in layman's terms? But so we're not doing all that learning on the job when we're trying to figure out everything else. Because
Yeah.
I think we need, and I think it would be good, whether, no matter how long someone's been here or whether you're new, that it's a really good refresher. Because I don't know about you, but I tend to like, I don't want to think about that. Let's just do what we have in front of us, after we've done it. So I kind of like have turned it off. So I need that refresher. I need the refresher every year. So
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely prepare something and have it ready for you with just the 2026 list. Like you'll next month see just 2026, and then we can also prepare something as well.
And I think we had Baird run some numbers that kind of can show a few things. And if we would move in a mortgage revenue bond or some of the water sewer, storm sewer products, the utility products, we would want to do that for a 2-year period. So we would actually do a 2-year bonding for utility projects if we so choose to kind of do that. So that was kind of what's in the scenarios too. We didn't want to hand out a lot of stuff tonight because we just want to get the list in everybody's hands and not, look at projects, look at individual projects, and then next month, I think, before we even dive into individual projects, maybe either Sabrina or myself or a combination of us will go through a little bit of a scenario analysis of where we think a vision could be for how we want to proceed.
I agree. And I will say, I say this most every year. I remember saying it last year, especially that it's always like, so we have 2026 before us. And I've talked with some people and they're like, well, they just look at 2026 and they don't really spend much time looking beyond, but I typically do because a lot of times it isn't 2026 that keeps me up at night. It's after 2026, the 4 years out after that. Just being realistic about what do we have coming before us? Because I like to see the whole picture. And I know in past years, there's been I don't ever remember like a complete list for like the following 4 years. And I've never expected one because I understand that it takes a lot of time and energy and a lot of calls and a lot of quotes and a lot of correspondence just to get something close. And of course, we have to also remember that's as of today, that's what we think. But I do appreciate the work and effort that's been put forth to get firmer numbers in so many of the categories. So then we can really wrap our arms around, especially Jared, when you're talking about, and Sabrina, like a 2-year type thing, whatever, just to see what's coming down the pipe. So, but no, I appreciate, the new format. I know what's it, the last 2 years where we had the handout with all the attachments and whatever, and for me, that helps so much. It just made it easier, to review it. And, so I appreciate that. Alder Jim?
I know this is just the capital improvements part, but what is the total amount that we would need to run the city for 2026? Including everything. And then what is it that we have to get to the budget amount that we want? I guess it's been a while since I've done this, so I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So the total amount that we need to run the city for 2026, what amount of money do we need? And then secondly, is that going to be our budget? And then we have to work within that, correct?
Yeah, I think that what you're asking is related to the operating budget. So think of it as two buckets. So we have our operating levy, which we can only increase by net new construction, and that budget will be coming forward in October. But the capital budget, we have a little bit more wiggle room. We have to stay underneath our debt limit that the state gives us. So we don't have like an actual set amount. It would be several millions of dollars, which I would never recommend. Kind of the way the city has operated in the past is that we try to borrow around what we pay off a year. So every year we're paying off our debt and we try to stay around that amount, if not under. So that's kind of where I get my figures of the 3 million, 3.25. But in regards to the total amount, I'd have to run some more numbers for you if you're looking for total operating and capital. I just received all the budgets. I'm putting that all into the system right now, so I can't give you that figure right now. But maybe Jared knows what. Jared
So,
knows something.
so I think, part of it is we have our operating budget and then we have the debt service component of whatever you borrow, obviously, just like any mortgage or anything you would do at your home. We have a debt payment. So the operating budget is capped with a levy limit. The debt service then is added to the levy, but it's not part of the levy limit. So we are trying to be prudent in staying under our state mandated limit of borrowing, but we're way under that.
Million.
I mean, but and I don't disagree with Sabrina about trying to, but part of what we've been doing too is we've been lowering how many years we've been borrowing for, which is a good thing. So instead of 20 years, we've been going down to 18 or something. So that way we're paying more per year, but we're saving on interest. And our construction costs have went up 40% in the last 5 years. So if it'd be like telling you can buy a $200,000 house 5 years ago. Now you can buy a $200,000 house today, but you're really only getting a $120,000 house because you don't have the same buying power that you had. So that's the dilemma that we're in. So for many, many years, we raised our amount of borrowing modestly, I would say, for the last 20 years, but we never experienced the incremental inflation rate and inflation pressures and pressures of tariffs, pressures of workforce, trying to get people to actually perform the job that have raised our costs for a lot of these capital improvement items. So that's the pressure we're seeing that is very difficult. But I think like Sabrina says, two different pots of money. They interrelate and they get, but it's for instance, if we borrowed no capital improvements, it does not free us up any more money in the operating budget. That would be probably a good scenario to say? So that's one thing you got to maybe wrap our minds around, is that if we don't borrow any money, it isn't like your household where you can say, well, I'm not going to buy the new car because I don't want that payment because I can't afford it. It's a little bit different scenario.
Right. And if we save in interest, it doesn't help us on our operating budget. And I think that is confusing sometimes as well, because in your regular home budget, that would affect it, but it doesn't affect us, if that makes sense.
Well, if I may follow up on that, then for the purposes of the capital improvements budget, what are we limited to in the way of money? What's the cap?
Right now, you have about 50 million in debt. You can go up to 150 million by state statute. Obviously, I understand we're not going to do that because our financial person would tip over. But so there's nothing that's saying that you can't borrow the money. We got to use a sound financial approach that our finance director is trying to educate us on what is the right amount and what do we feel is value of projects and what you want to have done. Do you want to have nice facilities? Do you want to have nice streets? Do you want to have new fire trucks? Do you want to have new dump trucks for plowing snow? That is all a discussion of where does it put you? And we made that, and this is a perfect case of last year, I think was a great commitment by our city of borrowing extra money for the community center. That was cited as a need. It was a public, something the public really wanted to see. And our finance department made it happen. I remember going through the Moody's calls and stuff and everything, and they made it happen. So it was a commitment and it got done, but everything has a balance.
So
Here, follow up on that. Who sets that limit? You said the state, but is that by population or?
It's by our
5%.
equalized value.
5% of the equalized value.
Oh, 5%, okay. All right.
But to follow up on that too, then the 15 million that we've got, your 15,227,000. What we're asking the board to do, or for the council and everybody else to look at, is what do we want to keep in that operating budget, improvements budget?
Capital
What,
budget.
and how much do we want to borrow? So we would look at what we've got here, the 121 pages of stuff, and then look through that, and we want to approve 7 million, 10 million, whatever, and then whatever's left over, we may or may not want to borrow, or we just put it off.
If you take it out of the capital improvement budget, it typically goes into the next year. And it just gets pushed off into the next year.
Kevin?
Maybe a simpler thing for Alderman Ash, right? In history, if you look at our capital improvements budget, right? We've been in 12 to $15 million when it first comes, right? Historically, we've cut 2/3 of those projects out of the budget to get it a 3 to 5. Last year was an exception with the Dash Center, but just some easy numbers, right? What you see in front of you at the 15, we're going to have to potentially eliminate 10 to $12 million of those requests to equal what Sabrina is suggesting to make sure our sound financial state of the city moves forward. So just something to think about. There are going to be more cuts in this budget than things that get passed, but those are just pretty historically easy numbers to wrap your head around. There's a lot more subtractions that'll happen over the next 2 months and additions.
When
Kind of what I was getting at. So
right,
I
right.
appreciate that. I wanted to just make sure I understood.
Yep. So, I've heard this before, and this kind of fits for me here, is that, our budget, whether it's our operating budget or capital improvement project budget, what have you, really reflects our values. And just like the benefits that and the salaries that we pay our people, what we do here is, what emphasis and what are our values? As long as I've been here, there has been a continuous, in my opinion, has always been a push to set our values high, to provide our staff, not even minimally, the bare bones what they need, but I think most people would agree that, we buy really nice things, but we have our staff doing really hard jobs at all times of the day and night, and they need equipment that's going to run, and I know they take great pride in anything that we have provided them. And that means a lot to me as being one of 7 elected up here, that our employees do take great pride in that. I've always said that I invite any elected to go ahead and go up to the shop at any point in time and don't even have to tell them. And I've never seen it look and I haven't done any ambushes. It's just worked that way. Sometimes I'll stop in, but I've also had appointments. It doesn't look any different from when I just stop in just to say hi or look at a new piece of machinery, or if I set up an appointment 2 weeks before. It's just like the police department. We take great pride in what we do here, and it shows. And I may have a year or two wrong and maybe the dollar amount, but I think it's pretty close. But I still remember when we bonded for the pool, and it was going to cost, we said, I think it was like we started in 2000. So it was between 2003, 4, somewhere around there. And, but we only had like a $2 million budget, I think, at that time for capital improvements. So when we think back 22, 23 years ago, and we had 2 million, and now we're maybe 3.5. And you look at inflation, it's just like Jared shared with me recently, it's like when you have 100 miles of streets, and we're not even doing a mile a year, or even if we did a mile a year, and we're not even doing that now, it's 100 years before, we get, I think, where we need to be. And I think I know in my district, in second district, I know there's a lot of need and people have been waiting a really long time. But at the end of the day, it's about priorities. I will never sit here and say, well, I'm just going to vote for my second district. I've always looked at in my seat, yes, I represent constituents individually in my district, but we're all here voting for the entire city. Instead, and we're not like pork barrel politics and Congress, and it's like, they want to divvy it up, because I know we're all here for all the same reasons. But people have heard me in the past say that we've got to do something different. And I'm very hopeful that this will be the year. And I would never look to spend that huge gap that there is, because we are in the position that we continue to be, and take great pride in that. But something's got to give. So I look very forward to future borrowing possibilities and such. I like the idea if it works for the 2-year. But at the end of the day, I know for the fact that constituents and taxpayers in the city of Onalaska has come to appreciate and outright expect a certain level of service. And we just can't let the roads start going. We worked so hard, and Public Works and Engineering have worked so hard for so many years to keep it where we're at, and to start do a slow slide really has me concerned. And we'll, from sidewalks to street paving. So, but I look forward to the next few months, and I do appreciate it. I agree with Jared, but I appreciate that we're going to be a month early than normal, because I think there's some years where we're not approving capital improvements until there's been January a few times. Now, one quick question, Sabrina. So if we do this a month or two early, do we get the money any earlier access, or it's still going to be March?
It would depend. If we were to approve everything, it would depend on Bayard's timeline. If we could get them to come in January instead of in February, then that could move us up a month.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Because they usually come back in March and do the
Mhm.
thing. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So any questions or concerns or questions at this time of anybody regarding items 5A and B? So hearing and seeing none, I will move on. And thank you everyone for that discussion. Let's move on to item 6, change order number 6 for Onalaska Community Center Project. Jared?
Thank you. This change order is relatively small. It's for the change out of a fire extinguisher for $543.28. Should be last one, Kevin. Got anything outstanding yet?
No, this should be the last one, and I would expect we'd come forward in September with final payment for the project.
Yep.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve change order for $543.28 for the community center.
A second.
543.58.
Well, actually, it has two. There's 543.28 and 558.
I have a typo in there.
Oh, yeah, it should be 58.
Do apologize. The actual number is $543.58, as shown correctly on page 19. In the packet, I did not transpose it correctly on page 17 down to the bottom. So there is an additional 30 cents.
Can't forget that 30
I'll
cents.
amend my motion then to include 543.58.
I'll second.
Motion by Alder Jim, second by Sabrina, to approve change order number 6 for the Onalaska Community Center project in the amount of $543.58. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7, change order number 1 for 2025 Theater Road Improvements Project. Kevin,
So
Jared,
as you know, the project has been opened up. These are items that came about during construction. I'll go through some of the bigger ones here. Excavation below subgrade, some of the corners that we excavated into that didn't have previous street on top of them. The soil was fairly bad in some conditions. So we had a $5,659.50 change order for excavation below subgrade. We did change out a water valve manhole to a water valve box for $5,096.82. And then item E is something that the engineering staff brought forward. That project actually was still supposed to be under construction actually as of right now. So it was finished 20 days early. We only gave them 77 days, and 7 of those were tied up in the contract for Excel to move their poles and gas mains. So we are proposing to give them an incentive bonus of $500 a day for 20 days, which is $10,000. We would take that out of the project contingency, which was budgeted. We do have budgeted money for that. With that, the contractor worked diligently and scheduled things and spent resources and time to get that project done early, and I think they are deserving of that incentive bonus. We actually discussed it with them at length very early in the project, right after the bid, and I think the having it done that early I know Cooley Bank's happy. Nobody coming through their parking lot anymore. So I think it's well deserved, and it should go through. So in all, we got a change order for $26,161.32 proposed, and we do have money in the project budget for that change order.
Thank you, Jared. Wishes of the board.
I make a motion to approve change order number 1 for Theater Road improvements of $26,161.32.
I'll second.
A motion by Alder Jim, second by Alder Larry to approve per in the packet item number 7, the approval of change order in the total amount of $26,161.32. Discussion. Alder Jim?
I see there's an early completion incentive. Is that something that's written into the contract, or is that a verbal agreement?
We did not write anything into the contract. We did discuss it with the contractor at the beginning of the project when we looked through the schedule, and we were trying to get the contractor to move accordingly, and we said we would bring it forward, and I really feel they gave it their best effort to get the project done early. And I think the impact to our traveling public and impact to our citizens is worthy of that. And $500 a day is a typical contract amount. That is what we would, if we were going to contract it out, that's what we would have put in the contract, is typically $500 a day. So
Still under the budget? I mean, they came in under budget?
they actually came in under budget. The engineer's estimate for that project, I think, was $799, and the bid was at $701 approximately. So we were about $98,000 under budget. So even after this change order, we're still going to be $70,000 under budget.
Thank you.
Does this company get an extra star by their name? I mean, how many times have we used this company before?
They actually they did the state bid. It was under state bid, but they did Midwest Drive last year, and they've done projects in our city for over 20 years.
Yeah.
They did a large utility project right at COVID, right up by the Blue Moon.
Okay.
So they've done multiple projects, and I
Great.
think that also, we're in a state right now and I discussed this, the capital improvements budget. We're in a state right now where there's only so many contractors and there's only so many people to do work. And for us to have relationships with contractors, we still write specifications, we still make them adhere to specifications and things. But if we can show that we are a partner in projects, we definitely get more people bidding our projects, and they bid accordingly. So I really think working with our contractors has a long-lasting positive impact on our construction projects.
I know you do an evaluation on every offer that comes in. Is that part of it then? Looking at the past history?
So when we bid out a public project, we have to take the lowest responsible bidder. So, that is by state statute. Now we do a bidder's proof of responsibility where we ensure that the contractor has the means and capabilities. So they have people that have experience, they have the financial wherewithal, they have the equipment and everything. And if they meet those stipulations, then we let them bid.
Thank you, Chair.
Thinking back about the sidewalk debacle last year, I so approve when people are, they're prompt and they work great with staff and you just can't put a price tag on working relationships, especially in the business that our departments are in. I worked for a heavy highway contractor on the Illinois side back in the mid 80s and to be early and you're right, just just for the public alone, I've talked about half a dozen people and they're really happy. And I will say, I got hit with, and I knew it was coming. I got hit with the detour today. And that was so easy. It was so easy to get back onto Theater Road. So I really appreciate that. One quick question I have though is, since it was a 50-50 project, are we just going to be on the hook for the $5 grand or will absorb the whole 10?
Yeah, so we'll put this in for the LRIP grant. And I believe our grant is at 50-50, and I believe it's enough that it's going to cover half this change order too.
At least you can try. But I think it was, I'm not one for usually opening up the pocketbook and doing extra, but I think it was well worth it. So thank you. So motion on the floor is to approve now item number 7, change order number 1. All those in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item number 8, pay estimates, Strand Associates, Inc., MSA Professional Services, Inc., Short Elliott Hendrickson, Inc., State of Wisconsin Department of Transportation, Fowler and Hammer, Inc., McCabe Construction, Inc., Matthew Construction Company, and any other contractor / developer. Please note that there are 11 pay estimates in the packet, page 24, dated August 5th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve Public Works monthly estimates for August of 2025.
All 12,
Was that a second?
all 11 items.
Yes, all 11, 1 through
All
11.
items.
Second, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Alder Jim, second by Alder Larry to approve item number 8 per the printed agenda, the pay estimates. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of said motion say aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item number or utilities number 9, no report. 10 is adjournment.
Make motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Alder Larry, second by Alder Jim to adjourn. All those in favor say aye to adjourn at 4:47 PM. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for coming in tonight.